Friends, welcome back to the Smoky Mirror Podcast, where we dive deep into the creative minds that are shaping our culture and inspiring us all. My name is Jordan Jones. I'm your host and fellow creator, and I'm on a mission to spread knowledge and inspiration to help people like you leave your mark on the world. From artists to musicians to entrepreneurs and more, join me as we explore the intentional act of creation and the forces that drive us to do God's work. As always, please like, follow, subscribe, check out all of our stuff on the podcast, the website, all of that, smokymirrorpodcast.com. Make sure you check out the up-and-coming streetwear brand, www.scut.shop. And of course, our supplement sponsor, www.earthsaliva.com. Taste Earth's wisdom. Today,
Keep going.
You like the face. Oh my God. Yes. So today we're at the Scott House. You already know. In my crib, we have Sadé Lewis.
Hi.
She is an architect, a model, and a scholarship. What's the opposite of recipient? Giver? Donator?
I guess I'm a donor.
You're a donor. Yeah, you're a donor. So she has a scholarship in her name dedicated for studying abroad and for specifically people in architecture that are trying to study abroad and experience new things. So we're going to be exploring that, how she did it, because honestly, I've always wanted to come up with a scholarship of sorts, but I don't really know what to do. I'm sure other people are kind of wondering about that, your inspiration behind it. And then also I got questions about architecture too and like your job. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Nice. So why don't we just start with what is the scholarship and what is the purpose? So
the scholarship is basically for minority students who want to study abroad. So the inspiration behind all of this was sort of my experience in college along with my grandparents. So on my mom's side of the family, my grandpa was in the Air Force, and they traveled a lot during her upbringing. And on my dad's side, my grandpa was a professional baseball player and traveled a lot to play baseball during the off season. He would go to different countries or different locations. And so we've always had this, like, in our family, this love of traveling and this love of like exploring and getting to know other cultures, getting to know different types of people. I personally am a military brat. So my dad's in the Air Force. So I love to travel. I grew up out of the country. So
where?
I left when I was 7. And I lived in Okinawa, Japan for 5 years. I lived in Ramstein, Germany for 5 years. So all of my formative years I spent out of the country, and I didn't move back here till I was 17. So it was kind of an adjustment in the opposite way, like a culture shock coming to America.
Right.
So to me, that's really the foundation of who I am as a person, is to like, I love to explore. I love different cultures. I love different people. And I always want to surround myself around that. And I think there's something really transformative about that experience. And so that's really where it stems from. I personally in college got I had an academic scholarship for tuition, but then during my thesis year I got a travel grant, and I did my sort of thesis studying. I went to Portugal for a week by myself, and I did the research for my thesis. And that was kind of like the foundation of like, okay, I want to do something like this. That after I did that, I was like, before I even graduated, I was like, I'm going to start a scholarship so I can help someone else to do this. But I feel like the nice thing about study abroad is it's a more structured
right
versus you going on your own.
Yeah.
Like I have the experience and I did the study abroad. So that was kind of like, okay, I want to gear this towards study abroad where you can have that foundation of like living in a different country. And personally going through the Syracuse architecture program, you do a homestay most of the time. So you really get the foundation of like living in that country and being a part of the culture versus like if you were to just like take a week and travel by yourself.
So how long were you there? A whole semester, right?
I was there. I lived in Florence for about 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into that, I'm wondering, like, when you grew up in Japan and Germany, like, did you learn the language? Like, you speak Japanese now?
So I was not bad at Japanese. I can kind of like introduce myself still, but I left when I was 12. So most of that's gone. When I was in Germany, no offense, I didn't really like Germans.
It does sound a little aggressive. And
a little bit. They're sweet, but they're just like, they kind of take a little bit of time to like warm up to you. Their culture is not like Latin culture, like kisses. They're like, wait, hold on.
Right. Like, yeah, who are you?
Yeah, I don't know you like that. So I was like, I'm going to learn Spanish. And then I had a really bad teacher. So I don't speak anything.
That's funny.
Yeah, I can say a few things in a couple of languages and that's about it. I can mostly order pastries. That's really my goal.
So we know what you're doing when you go to abroad. You're going to cafes.
Yeah.
You're getting coffee and crumpets.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to know is, like, where did the passion for architecture come from? Did it come from going to all these different places in Europe and Asia, or was it something you always just like to do, like designing?
So I would say that's part of it. Like, I feel like getting to experience like different building types and traveling really like fostered that passion in me. But honestly, when I was little, a little bit of a odd kid. I mean, I'm a nerd, whatever. It's fine. So I would watch cartoons and then I would watch like HGTV when I was little.
Nice.
So I don't know if anyone remembers like Trading Spaces. Like, I was obsessed with this show. And when I was in Japan, my mom had one of her friends like videotape it because they didn't have it on TV. We only had like certain shows in Japan. So she would videotape it and send it to me so I could watch it. And then one day when I was like 8, I told my parents, I was like, I'm going to be an interior designer. And they're like, why don't you just design the whole building? I was like, that's fine. I can do that. And that was it. That was it. It was done. It was decided. And since then, I've been like working towards that goal my entire life.
So nobody else in your family was in architecture?
No one in my
family. Did they watch HGTV also, or what?
I forced them to.
You forced them to? Wow.
I mean, they grew to love it. Like, we still, every once in a while, like, we'll still watch it, but yeah.
So how did you, like, it just came on one day, or like?
We used to watch like that show. I really liked the like House Hunters. It was like a classic. And I've always just like, I don't know, I was just drawn to it. It's interesting. My dad always like had an affinity for drawing. So I has like some of that from him, but being a designer specifically just is who I am.
Wow. Yeah, that's so cool.
My God-given like passion.
Talent,
Yeah. So I'm thankful. I was like blessed to know what I want to do super young. You know, as you get older, things change, but like, I was like, I made the decision and, you know, stuck through it.
That's what's up. So let's talk about that trip to Florence. So let me know, like, what was transformative about it? What was different than just visiting, you know, it's being really immersed in that culture, and how did it impact your career?
Yeah. So, I don't know. I love Florence. That's my baby. I go as many times as I can. But when I went there, I had traveled, of course, my entire life.
And wait, just really quick, you were a junior, right?
So architecture is different. I was a fourth year. Because we have 5 years. So we don't do like junior, senior. It's a very architecture student thing, you'll understand.
Got it.
We're not seniors, you know, we have to do 5 years.
Okay. Oh, and also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but she went to Syracuse, and this is through Syracuse. Yeah. She's got the orange on,
of course.
Obviously.
I had to come rep in the school.
There we go.
The Orangemen, you know. So when I went, that was the first time I was living by myself. And because I was an architecture student, I didn't do a homestay. So I actually stayed in an apartment with 3 other girls. And I was doing very long hours as per any other architecture program. But the amazing thing about the study abroad is that one, at Syracuse, it's integrated into your curriculum to study abroad. So it's expected for you to do at least a semester, if not a full year abroad, versus a lot of like architecture programs. It's kind of like an addition, or, maybe you have to do a semester extra to make up for the time you were abroad. Like, it's integrated into our curriculum.
Cool.
That's how much they value that.
Right.
And so part of our courses, like as like architecture student, we have like different courses, and one of our courses is sort of like our design studio. And in Florence, your design studio is also like paired with another course, and that course is specifically about traveling all over Italy. So we would be traveling, I would say, almost every week or every other week. We would go to a different town. We had to keep a sketchbook, so we were traveling like all over. I went to Lake Como, I went to Ravello, I went to Vicenza, I went to Venice.
And these are just
Rome.
cities all over Italy.
Yeah, all over Italy. And we would go look at different monuments. We would sketch. Our teacher would teach us about like the planning of the city, all of that sort of thing on top of our design studio. So you really like get immersed like in the culture. Like I personally, like, since that time, I love Italy, and just like the lifestyle for me, I really love. Like, I would wake up, I would go get my little like pastry, I would go to school, get my another one, get my cappuccino. When I couldn't eat, I would I would be working late at school, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go get gelato. I'd walk half an hour, go get gelato in the middle of the night, like, and I just...
You'd walk half an hour to get gelato?
Listen, I love gelato.
Okay.
You have to keep yourself motivated.
Clearly.
It's like 11 p.m. I'm like, well, I need something to keep me up at night. So
that's funny.
So I just like really learned to like love the culture, love the environment, and just getting to like explore and learn more about it, even from like sort of just experiencing it on like a tourism level, just like to learn about the buildings, to learn about the history, was something that is like, I don't know, for me it was very transformative. And I was still like running track, because I was like training, so I found like a gym. So then I had like my favorite spots, and I remember when I left, I like went and told them I was leaving, and I was like bawling. I was like, I have to go home now.
And they were like, oh, okay.
They're like, it's okay. It's okay. And I was like, no, I'm gonna miss
It's
you.
not okay.
Yeah. So ever since that moment, like personally, that like grew my love for Italy. Like I had sort of been, maybe for like a half day trip since we were in Germany, but like I never really got to experience. So like living in the culture, that influenced me. It changed like the way I dress. It changed the things.
You are stylish.
Yeah. So like when I went to Italy, it was just kind of like, it's different than America. Like people are not really as like judgmental. So I would like walk in the store, like they'd be like, yeah, you want to try something on? Cool. Like whatever. Like there was no judgment. It was like, oh wait, like this is nice. I like this.
Really?
So like after that, I feel like my style changed. I work for an Italian company, so I'm kind of like full circle now. So I'm like, yeah, pretty much since then, I'm just like always around
Italy,
Italians.
everything.
I'm always going to Italy.
So it had a big impact on you.
Yeah. Like I really love it. So
Were there other countries to go to, or did they say like Italy was just like their focus?
well, through the school, that's where we went. I did like while I was doing my study abroad, it was like my first trip that I also traveled like a vacation by myself for like fall break. So I went to Spain, I went to Barcelona, I went to Lisbon for the first time, which I fell in love with. Also, that's why my thesis is about it. And I went to Milan. So that was like my first vacation that I did by myself. And now I'm like an avid, I feel like I'm an expert level solo traveler.
I bet. You got a lot of experience.
I have a lot of experience traveling. So I think especially as like a female, that's not as common to just be like, I'm gonna just go.
It's definitely not common, but I feel like the female solo travelers I do meet, they're all in. They go everywhere. They stay in Airbnbs. They do all types of stuff. What was it like being a Black person over there? Because sometimes I hear about racism.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
honestly, for me, well, okay, so I have to preface this because like I really grew up mostly, actually in Japan, like outside of the base, there's not a lot of Black people, but so I'm kind of used to that experience of like kind of being different and people, I wouldn't say people are more curious. I would
Right.
say people are more curious because they haven't experienced that, so they don't know what it is. So like, it was like when we were in Japan, it was like a lot of like adoration, like, oh my God, you wait your hair, like I don't understand.
Yeah.
How does it work? Even with my mom's hair, they're like, well, like what is this? And in Italy, I would feel like it was more like adoration. Like I didn't feel like necessarily like racism. Like of course people say like weird things,
Right.
but it's just like you have to like give them some
They weren't
grace.
trying to be mean.
like they weren't trying to like be anyway about it. They're just like not used to it.
Right.
So, like of course I've had racism, but that's like rare. Most of the time, like people are so nice to me. Like, one of my last trips there, when I went by myself, I was like in the Amalfi area, and this guy, like the restaurant owner, like came and introduced me to like all the staff.
Wow.
And then he's like, wait, no, stay. Like, I'm gonna go get you a dessert. Like, I need you to stay for a while. And I was like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta catch the bus. He said, no, it's fine.
It's fine. Like, okay.
And I'm like, thanks. Like, nice to meet you. So usually they're like super sweet. At least that's my personal experience. I know people have had like a hard time.
Sure.
But my personal experience is usually most of the people are really nice.
Yeah. Well, I've studied abroad too, so I didn't get to go for a whole semester. But let me back up. When I was in high school, I studied abroad in Spain. So I actually stayed in Catalonia.
Okay, nice.
And I was there like 2 weeks, and that was a lot of fun because I stayed with a family there.
Yeah,
it was like an exchange program, so I got to stay with them. They had freshly squeezed orange juice like every morning.
And you're like, what is this?
Changed my whole life. I was like, oh my God, I can't drink Tropicana anymore. It was nuts.
No,
they
you're
were like, ruined. They would like heat up their milk for the cereal. Like that was all different. And then when I was in college, I went to China my freshman year, and I was there about 3 weeks also. We were like touring different companies. But kind of related to what you were saying, it was like, we would stay like 3 or 4 days in a city and then go to the next one. We were like in Beijing, a couple of days, take the train to Shanghai. And it's cool to be able to see what it's like, how other people are living, experience it. But I would have loved to just been there a couple months so I can really see what it's like, travel around, go outside the city. What is it like in the rural areas, that would have been a lot of fun. And I definitely want to go back.
No, I feel like it's just different. Like even when you like vacation, like you're not really like living your normal life.
Right.
Like you're just like hitting the highlights. But like when you have time to like stay and just kind of like relax into like, this is my everyday life. Like I wake up, I go over here, I go get my coffee. Like, you just start like adjusting and kind of like learning how to live a different way and just like see the world through a different lens. I feel like, at least for me, kind of life in Europe is a little bit slower. It's a little less like work focused. So it's just a different way of like doing things.
Yeah. I think that's so important for people because you really do get like an idea of what the world is like in your head just based off where you grow up and the things you see all the time. So then when you travel somewhere else and see people living similar, but also a lot different, it's like, wait a minute. Like, there's a lot more to life than I thought there was, just based off being in America. And I think even people in America who like stay in their neighborhood, like a lot of people who they're not able to, they'll stay in Chicago, but they'll never see downtown. You know what I mean? I think getting out of your environment really opens up your mind to more possibilities.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, I feel like getting exposed to something really is what like opens your mind up. Like, because if you're never exposed to it, you don't know what it is.
Right.
You don't have any, like, you just can make up something based off what you see, but you don't really know. So like really like being exposed to it is what
Makes it real.
Makes it real, like changes you, like
Right.
opens your mind up to like new possibilities. And that's to me like so crucial, especially for like minority students. Like we don't usually get a lot of these opportunities and have that chance to like, I just want to go live somewhere else. Like that,
Definitely.
a lot of people are scared to do that. They've never like left their home state, or, you know, they're not used to not being with anyone around them.
Their parents might not have done it, so they don't have somebody to push them.
Yeah, they don't have anyone pushing them to be like, no, just like go for it. So that's kind of the idea, is like, I really just want to like help people to like open up their mind and to have that experience that they may not be able to like really afford on their own. Obviously I can't pay for all of it at this moment. You know, God willing, I can do that later. I can really help, but it's just to help take a little bit of that burden off of.
What are some of the expenses that if somebody is traveling abroad, they might have to get into consideration?
Well, so you still have to pay like your tuition. At Syracuse, at least when I was there, it's the same, more or less. It's very minor difference between your tuition there and your tuition at the school. You have two options. There's the homestay, or you can do the apartment. So for the apartment, the money that they would pay the homestay family, I got to have to pay for my food. So me being me, I saved up to buy a leather jacket with that money. But
Like, yeah, I don't need to eat. I'm eating pastry.
I was like, listen, we're just gonna cut back.
I don't want a jacket
on the food.
Nice.
Cut back on the food to get the jacket, but it was worth it. So you have your normal like food, life expenses. You know, we're doing a lot of trips, so you know, you don't have to worry about the hotel. The school covers the hotel and like breakfast, but you know, your meals that you would normally have to take care of, you need money for that. Any sort of shopping you want to do. You know, we had to do like normal stuff, like we had to like sketch. You need a sketchbook, you need like markers and pens and like trace paper, you know, you need the whole thing.
Your regular supplies.
Like regular school stuff. And you're not gonna want to pack a lot of that.
Right. You want to get it when you're there.
So yeah. So you kinda, I mean, it's not crazy expensive, but it's also not cheap. It's like, you know, you have to find the balance.
Right. And so that's where the scholarship comes in to help.
To help. Just, you know, help a little bit. Like make it so it's like not too much of a burden. Like not too much of an additional burden than already your college tuition.
right. Already.
Yeah.
So when you graduated in 2015, tell me about like, oh, I want to get I want to start a scholarship. And then like, what was the next step? Like, did you get back in touch with the university? Like, how did that go?
No. So honestly, I've been thinking about this for so long. It's crazy to think I graduated so long ago, but I was like, okay, I can't start anything until I pay off my student loans. And I was like, 3 years. I can do it in 3 years. Didn't happen. First of all, I didn't get a job for a whole year after I graduated.
Yeah.
So that was a whole thing. And then when I started, I had to like kind of get out of the hole of my student loans. Like I had delayed them, and then I was doing whatever I could to like just make the minimum payments. So then student loans plus like when I moved to Miami, I kind of used all the money I had to move here. And like I didn't really have money for food or anything for like when I first got here. Yeah, like I was just like, I know no one. I don't have any money. Like I'm just calling my parents like, please send me money for food.
You still got that jacket though, right?
Yeah. I was like, please. I need some help.
I'm hungry.
I need some help.
Did they send it?
Yeah. They love me.
Nice.
They're the best. They're the best. So like I was like, okay. So it wasn't for a little bit of time. So I was like, okay, I'm able to like start working on my school loans. So I honestly didn't finish paying those off. Maybe I finished during COVID. So it's been maybe a year and a half, 2 years.
So you were like, damn, they're about to forgive it, and I just paid it off.
No, I don't have. So the crazy thing is, because like I also feel like people don't realize, like most people don't qualify for like
The
federal
assistance.
loans.
Yeah.
The ones that got, pardoned, those ones, didn't qualify for them. So my interest rates were like up the wazoo. Like my interest rates were like 10%,
Oh my God.
like crazy. And like I was trying to make like double payments because I was like, I need to cut this bad boy down. Like I'm paying 75% of my payment is going towards interest
Right.
every single month. And it's like, okay, I cannot
Can't
like
do
live
this.
Like I was like, I need to get this done. So that was kind of really my focus. And then I was like, okay, once I do that, now I need to make enough money where I can actually like take money from my check and like put it towards this. Architecture is not like, I think, as highly paid as people would imagine it.
I'm about to say it sounds sexy. Like, ooh, I'm an
it
architect.
sounds super cool.
I'm sketching, I'm drawing.
Yeah. I feel like most people don't. It's like a elusive, like, yeah, you're an architect, but they don't really know
Right, they don't
what
really
it's
know.
like. So it took some time to like. I feel like finally I'm in a point where like I can actually like take some money away and survive. I mean, Miami prices are wild, so I don't
They
know.
are wild. That's,
I just like
you drove
I don't
far
know.
as hell because, yeah, that's
I don't know
a
how
reason.
well I'm actually doing, but or making it a priority. So, yes.
Yeah, no, I feel like the prices out here are outrageous. But all right, that's cool. I want to know, what does a person have to do to like sign up, apply?
So it's gonna be run by the university, the School of Architecture specifically, not Syracuse, but Syracuse School of Architecture. So I actually like met with the dean. We talked to sort of Tracy, who's been like my contact at the university and helping me set this whole thing up. And I sort of gave them what I wanted my requirements to be for how the scholarship. I want it to go to a minority student. I want over a 4.0 GPA.
What does minority mean, though? It's getting kind of muddy.
Well, they have to do the politics side of it. But for me, it's like, let me just say this, like in architecture, being a Black woman architect, we are 0.4% of registered architects. We're not even 0.5%.
Right. It's pretty low.
So
That's okay. That's easy to classify as minority.
So when I say minorities, like the people that are like underrepresented, that are not like who you commonly see. I mean, Miami's a different environment because we have a lot of.
It's like an international city.
Yeah, it's an international city, but the rest of the country is not maybe as quite as diverse. So that's really why I wanted it towards people who are a little bit underprivileged and don't have that access that, your typical stereotypical architect when you think of them, older white guy would have.
Yeah.
So that's the point. And then it's gonna be, I think they have to write like a little essay of sorts, sort of explaining like why they want to be an architect, like what they're hoping to like do with the money, etc. And they'll apply, and then based on sort of the requirements and criteria that I set up with the school, they will choose who's going to be the recipient. And there's going to be one student a semester that will get $1,500.
Cool.
Yeah.
So wait, I kind of jumped ahead because
Yeah.
I did want to know, like, when was the moment where you were like, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and you're like, all right, I'm going to do this, and then like you called the school and said, yo.
Yeah. So we have like, I decided, and we reached out to the school, and they kind of directed me on like who to talk to. I reached out to like career services, and they're like, actually, we don't do that. This is the person that handles this. And so they kind of told me like what you have to do, like how much money you have to give. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm just pulling out, some money like right now, but no. Like you have to give a certain amount of money, which
Right.
In order to like qualify for the scholarship. Like you can divvy it up however you want, but like there's a minimum donation amount.
Can you share that?
Yeah, so that's $50K. So you have to like guarantee that you're gonna give at least that amount
You have to give it up front, or is it like over time?
over time.
Okay.
So I think it's like 5 years.
That's
so
what's
I did
up.
like the first payment. So then we're gonna do we're gonna do that part. So the plan is like right now I'm giving out like $3,000 a year. So I'm hoping that's gonna last. Obviously, you know, I want to keep adding into it. Once I kind of get more money, I can add more money.
Right.
But for now, that's what it's at, and that hopefully will last me some years. And then by the time I start adding into it, it'll just extend the length of the scholarship, and we'll see how long I can keep it up.
That's awesome, man. I think that's really amazing. That just shows like your commitment to helping other people, like similar situations as you came from, to have those same experiences. I think that's absolutely wonderful. I remember on both my study abroad trips, I was the only Black guy.
Yeah.
Spain one and the one to China.
Yeah.
Two totally, like one was I was in Illinois and going to school. The other one I was in Pittsburgh going to school. Same thing. Only Black guy there. And I think I wouldn't have even done it if it wasn't for my mom just kind of pushing me, like, oh, you should do, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even bring it
wasn't even an idea.
It wasn't even an idea. I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. Like, I think she went through some papers I had thrown out, and it was like, what is this study abroad thing that you could do? I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, because I was in Spanish class.
Yeah, you're like, what is
She was like, what the hell? You should go. And then, like, just for me going, I was like, oh, my God. Like, I definitely wanted to go when I went to college. And so just giving somebody that opportunity, I mean, it just opens up the world for them. So shout out to you for doing that. That's so amazing.
I'm super excited. It's been like a long time coming. But I'm finally like happy to have the support and be able to do something that's really meaningful to me, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of ways that you could try to help people. But to me, I feel like this is something that for me was really special.
Yeah.
And it's not like a need, but it's like something that if you do it can change you, you know?
Right.
Like it can really change your life. I personally believe that. So I want to help someone else have that same experience.
I mean, definitely. You said you working for an Italian company. You go to Italy like every year. Like
my hairstyle is Italian. I don't know. It's a little crazy right now.
Like that's huge. Yeah, and be able to do that year in and year out, like it shows you're committed to that. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's incredible. That's really incredible.
Thank you.
Wow. Sorry, I'm just thinking about that. That's really cool. So, what advice would you give to people who want to get into architecture, or maybe they like to watch HDTV and they never thought about getting into architecture? Yeah. Like, what advice would you give them?
Okay, so to get into architecture, so when you're getting into school, you know, one, if you're gonna go to college, like you need to make that decision like fairly soon. Like I would say at least by like 11th grade, you want to know if you want to go to architecture school, because when you're doing like your SATs and whatever, you need to have good scores. Like Syracuse is extremely competitive. Our average GPA was a 3.9.
Nice.
Of my class. Of my class.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was 150 of us, and the average was a 3.9. So like
all
it's
nerds,
very
smarty pants.
Yeah. Like Syracuse back then was like number 2 best architecture school in the country. So
okay,
like
number 2.
very like
competitive.
Very competitive.
Cool.
So you want to have really good grades, of course. But then the other part of getting into architecture school is you have to do a portfolio. And it's usually an art portfolio. You can have some photographs. I had maybe one. But so I ended up doing like AP art in high school.
So you got to be able to draw.
Yes and no. Like, yes, for certain schools. I would say I like the way Syracuse did it. But you need to be able to show your idea. So you don't have to be like the world's best artist. I don't think I'm the world's best artist. I'm not a professional painter or anything by any means, but like I can express what I'm thinking in my head and I can draw it. Right. And that's really the key. And at Syracuse, it's really about like being detail oriented. Victoria, who does like the recruitment for students. I remember when she walked me around the school. Mind you, she's still there. She's great. And she walked me around and she would like point and show me all the people sleeping on the floor. Like, that's gonna be you. I'm like, what do you mean?
Like, wait, what?
Well, what do you mean? And they're like, yeah, you're not gonna get any A's. And and she's like, what we really look for is like how detail oriented you are in your art. And like me being me, that's kind of my thing. Very like meticulous, like detail oriented. And that I think does a huge part in what you're gonna do in the field. But then when you get into architecture school, we only hand drew for 2 semesters. Like you really do your first entire like design studio hand drawn. And then the second semester we did hand drawn in a different sort of method. Like we did like ink hand drawings versus like pencil hand drawings in the second semester, which a lot of colleges don't even do anymore. But I think it's a really good fundamental skill to know how to do it the old fashioned way. Because right now all I do is stay on the computer. Right. So like you don't have to be an excellent drawer, but like if you have an idea in your head and you can't express it and like you can't sketch out so someone else can understand, like how are you gonna talk to clients and be like on the fly, like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Like you need to be able to sketch something.
So it doesn't have to be beautiful, but it's gotta be it's gotta communicate what you're thinking.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. So you have to have that prepared. I would say like any sort of AP classes. I did AP Calc, and that my scores on that test meant I didn't have to do what was it? I think physics or something in college. Like I was able to get out of like 3 science-based or science math courses.
Nice.
So
that was gonna be my next question. You need to know like physics and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we have like a structures course. It was actually one of my like favorite forced architecture courses because I like math. But I was luckily able to like miss the science part, which is like, I don't mind science. It's just not my favorite. So I'm like much better with math.
Numbers.
So yeah. So it helps you if you can do those sort of advanced courses, do some tests, save yourself a little time, take the workload off.
One thing that I'm wondering, as you were talking about like Italy and all this stuff, is like, what is something about Italian architecture that really stands out as opposed to other styles?
Well, I feel like, well, Florence specifically is kind of like, they like to call it like the birth of architecture because you have like Da Vinci and everything, even like the Duomo. You know, you have like the painting on the dome actual part of it. And there's a lot of like, to me, it's mind blowing when I think about it because I'm like, I don't understand how they were doing this like pre-computers.
Yeah, that's
like,
insane.
Like when you think about Egypt or any of these things, I'm like, first of all, how did you cut this bad boy?
Yeah, what
like,
the hell?
How are you
How'd
cutting the stone?
Here?
How did you move it into place? Like, how did you lift it up? So I mean, obviously, there's like all the different periods of architecture. There's a lot of them, but you kind of have like this craftsmanship that I think is really special and just like their use of materials. And to me, when I think of Italy, I think of it being like very warm. It has sort of those like traditional like classical elements. And I think that's really where like classical really was birthed.
Right.
If you are an architect and you know about the different types of like column, capitals, and all of that fun stuff. So I feel like that's really the birthplace of it. You know, and just even like the limestone, the carving, like all of that, like between like the statues and how they work with the different materials. Even like the Pantheon is like first, that was like one of the original forms of concrete was at the Pantheon, and then we lost the technology for whoever knows how long, and then they relearned how to make concrete. And it's like that ancient technology, like even like the planning of how they're laying out, like the spacing, like we studied all of that, and it's just like very interesting to think about. Like you had like the Roman grid of the city, then you had the medieval, which is like a little bit more organic, like windy roads, and then like all the different iterations of like how cities grew, how space planning, like how city planning was happening. So it's just like a good place to kind of see it all in one area.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
It makes me think about like even Venice. Like, how did they make a city with all the canals and all that? That's so cool.
Yeah. It's like, well, from my understanding, it's like all lifted up on like the wooden like dowels. So like, you know, like those houses in California that have like the wood posts. Yeah, they're basically up on stilts. That's basically all of Venice. And that's why it floods.
Right, I was gonna say that's why it floods.
So
yeah, that's definitely a problem. I would hate that.
I know. They're like so used to it. They just like put their little
boots on.
Yeah, they put like these little step stools, and I'm like, no one's concerned.
Yeah, like whatever. It's just another day.
It's gonna be Miami Beach in a little bit. It's fine.
Oh my God. Yeah, let's not talk about that. That's so funny. All right, this is gonna kind of come out of left field, but it is. You're the first architecture I've talked to.
Yeah.
So I go to the DMV, and it's such a dreary, depressing, sad place. And when I think about it, it's like all the government buildings, they're like places you don't really want to go to. Like, what's up with that? Can we get nice things? Like, why can't we get nice things? Is it hard?
Nice okay. So I have a personal opinion about this. As a military kid and as a person who had parents who were like, go work for the military.
Government,
and I was like, yeah, no. I don't want to do tan buildings the rest of my life.
Blocks.
Tan buildings, brown roof.
Brown room, right. 2 windows.
Yeah. So, okay, when it comes to the military, it's all about, you know, they're mostly using our taxes. So in that sense, you're like, you know, thank you for not wasting my money.
Right.
But it's all about cost. What is the cheapest? What is the easiest, most economical, fastest to do? So that's really what it comes down to. It's about money.
And that's definitely the answer. But it makes me think, I'm like, but like you said, in the 1500s, they were making a beautiful ass.
But you have to think they had like patrons. So
people were donating money.
No, not donate. Like they had like rich families paying them to do
it.
To do this beautiful art, or to build this chapel, or to build this castle. So, you know, it was the wealthy really investing in building up, whether it's a monument for them and it eventually became open to the public. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of these, like the palaces, the houses, like these museums, they used to be like the wealthy private residences, and then they got transformed into places open for the public. So that's really how it came about. Or the church, which the church has money, so they paid for things to be built. So it's a different kind of it's a different way of going about it, because the government doesn't have money to blow. Like they're not rich. I mean, they have money.
They be giving it away, no problem, to other people, other countries.
Whole different topic. Yeah. They have money, but they're not trying to waste their money on like aesthetics. Making the nicest thing you've ever seen. Like sometimes, you know, like if you've been to the Air Force Academy, they have like a beautiful church there. That's kind of like a special thing, you know, like the rest of the buildings look like all the rest of the buildings you see everywhere. So it's just like very specific. They're just not gonna waste your money.
Okay. Well, that's a good answer. And I guess that just is a message to me. Like, I'm going to make enough money that I can donate and have somebody beautifully design the DMV by my house.
Yeah.
Because
I am tired of going there and being depressed.
The people there are depressed. Everyone who goes is depressed. They're waiting a long ass line. Why can't I just have a beautiful area to sit and wait 2 hours in, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's also like, you learn, like, you know, obviously a lot of projects I work on are like not cheap. I can't afford them, and it's very hard for me. As a designer, you cannot afford most of what you're doing. So you have all this expensive taste, and then you're like, what can I do for myself? Nothing.
Right.
It's
nothing.
fine. It's a you know, double-edged sword. But you kind of learn like there's some smart ways you can make things like more beautiful. But it's not usually what most people specialize, because like you kind of get into design to make pretty things.
Right.
And you're very like aesthetic driven. I would say most architects are very aesthetic driven. Some are more practical. I'm on the other end. But I would say all of us care about how things look. So there's smart ways you can make it better. Will it ever be super nice? I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
I mean, I just want to start a campaign. Make the DMVs and other government buildings beautiful. Make it a place you want to go to. Like, it's like, you know, my kids are going to get their first license here. They're going there next. You know what I'm saying? The fluorescent lights.
I feel like that just adds to the atmosphere of like everyone being miserable in the DMV.
And it's like, we don't have to be miserable. Like, but at the end of the day, you're right. It's money. We just got to pull some resources and make it happen.
They just want it to function. It's staying up.
You're right.
They're able to do what they need to do.
Get in, get out. We don't want you spending time here.
That's basically the point. Get out of here as quickly as possible so I can go home.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. All right. This has been a really great conversation. I do want to double back to, again, if people want to apply, if they go to Syracuse, they can apply in the fall or what?
So they can actually start applying this semester.
This semester? Oh, wow.
So I'm not sure the time frame of when they're going to open the scholarship up for, like, they have sort of a time frame, but it's always the spring semester. So then you can apply this spring for this upcoming fall, I think, and the following years. So be on the lookout for the scholarship. I hope you apply. Also, if you get the scholarship, please let me know. I would love to know about that. Yeah. I'm hoping the school tells me, but you know,
right? Like, it'd be nice
just in case I don't hear about it.
Because you said they just published the article. Like,
reach out to your girl so I can know. I'm super excited. I hope whoever gets a scholarship, you have an amazing time. Enjoy. You don't have to go to Italy. They also have a study abroad in London. That's really amazing. Or do both. Go for it. You kind of get both sides. So I hope you enjoy it and have a wonderful time and tell me about how it went.
Right? Like,
I want to hear the stories.
Facts. Like, I would love to see like you in the recipient, a picture.
No, that would be so nice. I hope so. I'm hoping to like go back to Syracuse and like visit. I hope I get to like see who gets the scholarship and you know, learn more about them. So I'm super excited for it to actually be open. It's been a long time coming, a lot of work. Thank you to Syracuse for working with me and being so patient as we work through the details. And that's it.
That's amazing. Where can people find you on social media?
Okay, so I think the best place to find me is on Instagram. It's very modeling focused, but I do talk about work every once in a while. So it's _ Sadé, SADE, Lewis, LEWIS. So no space, just _ my name. And then you can find me on LinkedIn with my name. I have an accent over the E, so you have to spell it correctly. But yeah, that's it.
Nice. Okay, actually, now that you brought up the modeling thing in passing, I do want to touch on that. How do you balance, like, you know, your career with architecture while also doing modeling and stuff like that?
It is a learning. I am still learning the balance right now. But currently, I'm like prepping for New York's Fashion Week. So I decided to start the year with like a fast with my church. So I'm fasting TV since I had just done like a food fast before the year started. So it's like I didn't give my body a break. So I'm fasting TV. So basically I finish work and I start like, I'm applying to agencies, I'm applying to castings. And then I'm sort of scheduling time to, luckily my job is flexible and I can like work different places, you know, if I let them know and they approve it. So I'm going to be taking a few days off for Fashion Week. So just kind of trying to like do it on the weekends, do it after work right now. So that's a goal. I mean, that will come with time. I'll be doing more of that. But right now, that's the balance.
That's what's up. So you're going to be in New York in February?
Yep.
Very nice.
I will be there in a few weeks.
All right. Well, damn, good luck to
Thank
you with
you.
that. Good luck with the architecture.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for what you're doing to the next generation. I think paying it forward like this is a beautiful thing to do. So I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Sadé Lewis.
Bye.